If you're with a nonprofit, you already know there's a mountain of paperwork. But one of the most confusing parts? It has to be charitable registration renewals. You see, unlike your federal taxes, the due dates are all over the map, changing from state to state. And that's where things can get really tricky. So let's break it down.
Now, just so you know, all the information we're covering in this explainer comes from a great resource by Ironwood Registrations. These folks specialize in helping nonprofits navigate the complexities of fundraising compliance across all the states. So believe me, they know this topic inside and out. So let me ask you a question. Do you actually know when all of your state fundraising renewals are due? I mean, if your organization is registered in more than a handful of states, you're probably juggling a dizzying number of different deadlines all year long.
To make any sense of these deadlines, we first have to understand why these renewals even exist in the first place. And really, it all boils down to one key idea: transparency. It's about being transparent for your donors and for the state regulators.
Think about it. Nonprofits are always evolving. So states require these annual check-ins to keep public records accurate. They're looking for a few key things: your latest financial situation, who's on your board of directors, a snapshot of your fundraising activities, and any big changes to how your organization is structured. It's all about making sure the information out there is fresh and up to date.
Okay, so how are these deadlines actually set? While most registrations are an annual thing, the timing is definitely not the same everywhere. The renewal schedules generally fall into two main categories.
And here are the two systems you're going to run into. On one hand, you've got states that tie your renewal deadline to your organization's unique fiscal year. And on the other hand, you have states that just set one fixed annual deadline for absolutely every charity registered there. Let's take a closer look at how each one works.
For the fiscal year-based process, it's a pretty logical sequence. First, your fiscal year ends. Next, your team gets to work preparing your financial statements and that all-important IRS Form 990. And then, finally, you can file the state renewal. This whole structure is designed so that regulators can review the most recent and complete financial picture of your organization.
Now, the second system is the fixed annual deadline. It's just as straightforward as it sounds. There's one single, specific date on the calendar, and every charity in that state has to file by then. So the key here is that your own internal fiscal calendar doesn't matter. You have to be ready to go by the state's date, period.
Let's talk about a document that pretty much every nonprofit leader knows well, because there is an absolutely crucial link between these state renewals and your federal tax filing.
Yep, I'm talking about the IRS Form 990. The vast majority of states require you to include your organization's most recent Form 990 right there with your renewal. This one rule directly ties your state compliance schedule to your federal one.
You know, what this really means is that a successful renewal is not a one-person job. It's a team sport. It requires seamless coordination between your accounting team, whoever is preparing your financial statements, your Form 990 preparer, and then finally the team handling the actual registration filings. It's like a chain reaction, and every single link is essential.
Okay, so we've covered the rules. But what does this look like in the real world, especially for organizations that are fundraising all over the country? Let's talk about the practical challenges of actually managing your compliance calendar.
For any group that's fundraising in multiple states, this is your reality. You are constantly juggling different renewal schedules, unique state-specific forms, varying financial reporting requirements, and even a whole range of filing fees. It's pretty easy to see how this gets incredibly complex incredibly fast.
So what's the secret to managing all this complexity? Honestly, it all comes down to proactive planning. Using solid internal tracking systems, like a dedicated compliance calendar, is absolutely key to keeping an eye on all these deadlines and maintaining your registration status without any interruptions.
And the risks of poor planning? They're very real. You could be looking at delays in your financial reporting, which leads to incomplete paperwork, that awful stress of a last-minute rush, and worst of all, a missed deadline. And that could force you to stop fundraising in that state completely. And all of this brings us to our final question. As you think about your own organization's fundraising efforts, ask yourself this: is your compliance calendar truly under control? Understanding these different systems is the very first step to making sure the answer to that question is a confident yes. Thanks for joining me.